Page 78, Chapter 13, Waiting. Andrew's father must have gotten a raise because by the time Zinkoff enters third grade, Andrew is gone, moved to a place outside of town called Heatherwood, to a house with a driveway and a front yard with a tree, Zinkoff hears. In November of third grade, Zinkoff goes through the worst period in all his 8 years. He has surgery. He goes into the hospital and they put him to sleep, and the doctor turns the upside down valve in his stomach right side up. The good news is that he stops throwing up. The bad news is that he has to miss 3 weeks of school. He drives his mother crazy. Heaven help me. Every 10 minutes. On the second day after returning home from the hospital, he tries to sneak off to school. So his mother creates an alarm. She places the alarm in front of the front door. If her son ever tries to leave, the alarm goes off. The alarm is Polly. Polly is 17 months old by now. She speaks very little at this point, but one thing she does say is, "Bye bye." She says it distinctly. In fact, she shouts it, and she says it whenever she sees someone leaving the house. Each morning, Mother Zinkoff padlocks the back door. Then she wheels the playpen up against the front door and places Polly inside. Then she goes about her chores, ready to come running whenever she hears, "Bye bye." It happens only once. Mrs. Z comes running to find her son halfway out the door and Polly yelling, "Bye bye," at the top of her lungs. She also finds a chocolate cupcake mashed in Polly's hand. A bribe. Once Zinkoff understands that escape is impossible, he considers other ways to spend his time. This is critical because time sits on Zinkoff's hands like an elephant. He hates to wait. He hates waiting more than anything else. To Zinkoff, waiting means basically this: not moving. He hates waiting in lines. He hates waiting for the bathroom to clear out. He hates waiting for answers, for toast to pop up, for bathtubs to fill, for soup to heat, soup to cool, car rides to end. Most of all, he hates sleep, the curse of the human race. Every night he protests it. Every morning he gets out of it as soon as he can. In fact, as far as Zinkoff is concerned, he doesn't really sleep. He merely waits all night until it's time to get up. If pressed, he will admit to going to bed, but not to sleep. Relatives and other grown-ups have discovered that they can amuse themselves by asking him, "So, Donald, when did you go to bed last night?" 9 o'clock. "And when did you go to sleep?" "I didn't." "You mean you didn't sleep all night?" "Nope." Whenever his Uncle Stanley comes over, he proclaims at full voice, "Aha! There he is, the sleepless wonder." Then there are the sitting things, watching movies and reading books and the hours in the classroom. Like sleeping, these too are non-movers, but not entirely. For as long as they keep his interest, as long as they make him think, Zinkoff is moving. Of course, you wouldn't know it to look at him, since the moving part is out of sight, behind his unblinking eyes, his brain. This is how Zinkoff at the age of 8 imagines the inside of his head. A moving part, like an elbow or knee. He imagines that when he's interested, when he's thinking, his brain is moving, stretching itself, leaning this way and that, flexing. When his brain stops moving, that is, when he's bored, off goes the TV, closed goes the book, tuned out goes the teacher. Zinkoff's blessing has been this: boredom has not happened often. But it happens a lot during his 3 weeks of convalescing. Every day he looks out the front window at the kids going off to John W. Satterfield Elementary. Not only is he not allowed to go to school, he is forbidden to do anything more active than walk across a room. His world shrinks to the living room sofa. He soon becomes fed up with TV and books, fed up with jigsaw puzzles and watercolors, fed up with fed up with feeling the stitches of his operation. Minute after minute, day after endless day, he stares out the front window, and the elephant lowers itself onto his hands, and he comes to know the long wait of the waiting man. He comes to know how painful a minute can be, how unbearable an hour. Though he cannot put his understanding into words, he understands that time by itself is nothing, is emptiness, and that a person is not made for emptiness. One day he counts as 32 minutes go by on the clock, and he says to himself as he looks out the window, 32 years. He tries to cast his brain like a stone that far, 32 years into the future, but all it falls into is an immense gray sadness. He knows it is not his own sadness, but the sadness of the waiting man. It is everywhere, on the roof shingles and rain spouts and brick walls and alleyways. And the sadness and the emptiness are the same thing, and they will not end until a soldier comes walking down Willow Street. Zinkoff turns from the window. He feels an urgent need to play with his baby sister. He plays with her for an hour or two and makes her laugh, and then, because still he cannot go to school, he decides that school must come to him. He will give himself a test.